On any given day from 1978 until 1983, Western Airlines flight attendants, pilots, and ground crew enjoyed a sunrise, much like this. They worked, played, loved, and lived in paradise. The island of Hawaii was their home, and soon they all became an Ohana, a family. 2015 saw the first gathering of this Western family in Los Angeles. Hundreds came together for the first time in more than 30 years. They again gathered in 2017. Their numbers were smaller. Sadly, some had taken their final flight. This Ohana 2020 came full circle in February when they gathered once again in their adopted home, the place they loved, Honolulu, Hawaii. The party began at the Elks Lodge in Waikiki.
Sisters. And Nolan's brother-in-law, we have Cheryl is on her way up. You're coming up first, and then Rosemary's right behind. Claire, brother-in-law of Nolan. And we have Dane Drewis. Where is he? Dane? Okay. We have Dee Dee's son, Dane, is here.
Aloha. I'm so glad you got me part of it. All right.
120 former Western Airlines employees who years ago worked on the island of Hawaii gathered together in Honolulu to remember. After more than 30 years, they came together once again to walk the streets they once walked, visit some of the places they used to haunt, and play in the sand and the ocean that they loved, and wish they could go back to those days and press the pause button, maybe for just a moment. 120 people with dozens of stories to share. Stories that have been told numerous times, but somehow never lose their appeal. More than 35 years have passed since those wonderful days they spent in the sun. Over the years, hair has turned gray or disappeared. They walk a little slower, and sadly, some have taken their final journey. But one thing that remains as strong or stronger is the spirit of the Ohana, the family that was formed back then. It's what binds them together today. It's why they gather here today, to remember.
We're two happy guys, the tropic skies, living the life of the gypsy musician, and it's hard on us.
Happens to be about a gentle soul who wrote an amazing book about Jump Seat, the tale of twisted fate. And this amazing author is an incredible gentleman that I've known for many years. And he is a very dear friend, and he is our guest speaker this evening. And I'm honored to bring up my dear friend, Eddie Valenciano.
You know, some of the people here have been calling me survivor, And I just want to make it clear, you know, Pam, you know how old I am? You know how old everybody in this room is? This room is filled with survivors. We're all survivors. We're all on that treadmill of time that doesn't stop for anybody. No one. Of course, except Tom Blackmore. Tom is going to remain young forever. If you've seen on Facebook the pictures of him from the Western Airlines Rose Bowl float, you could take that little red bow tie and put it on him today, and he'd still be the same person. Of course, the float would have to be, well, you know. You know, those of us that originated in the mainland and made Hawaii our home have another thing in common. We all heard the calling of the islands. I heard it loud and clear, and I couldn't run fast enough to it. And I think when you first come to the islands, to come to paradise, after a short period of time, you have what I call that Hawaii moment. You could be looking at the mountains, the sky, the ocean, be with friends, or it could be looking at a stunning sunset like we have every day, and all of a sudden it hits you where you're at and how special it is. Well, I want to tell you about my Hawaii moment. After the tragedy in Mexico City, and I got back to LAX, I pretty much had my fill of things, and I escaped, and I went into the Kalalau Valley on the Napali coast of the island of Kauai, and I wasn't coming out. I wasn't going to come out. And after some time, Western became concerned, and they hired 2 local guys on the island to go in there to try to persuade me to come out. And so they came in, and I came out, and after all that time, I was caked in mud, and my hair was in knots. It was pretty gnarly. And I was sitting on the lanai, on an old wooden plantation-style home on the North Shore in Hyena, with a tin roof, and I'm looking out at the ocean, and it was twilight, and the sun was shedding its colors on the clouds, and the lavenders, and the pinks, and the orange, and the yellow, and I'm sitting there, and I hear this guy, the local guy, on the phone to my flight attendant manager at LAX, and he says, yeah, we find him. And he goes on to say, hey, this bugger, he one big Lolo boy, huh? And right there, chicken skin. I'm in Hawaii, man. This is great. And that was my Hawaii moment. Now, when Western Airlines decided to open the Honolulu base, it created a unique opportunity for those selected to come here. You got to work for a great company, live in Hawaii, fly, get paid, and of course, play. And boy, did you guys play. I pretty much think you carried it to a higher art form. But see, the airline needn't worry because these well-trained young men and women remained right on top of their commitment to safety and giving the best airline experience in the skies to our Western Airlines passengers. Amen. You guys remain professional in every way, and in fact, let me give you an example. And Tom spent 5 years in flight attendant training, so he'll back me on this. So he knows the professionalism. So So let us look at regulation 1.2.1-B-1 from the Western Airlines Flight Attendant Manual. Quote, adherence to all company rules and regulations is imperative. And it continues, the following action can be cause for immediate dismissal. Drinking any alcoholic beverage within 12 hours immediately preceding scheduled flight, while deadheading, or from a flight, or while standing reserve duty. Now we can say with certainty, right, Tom, that no one in this hall would ever think of violating such an important regulation. Nobody did that. Anybody else want to cleanse their soul? Hey, where are the pilots? Yeah. No, in reality, the fine men and women sent here by our company represented the best. They unknowingly were presented with a rare gift. You guys had the ability to create, to mold the base culture, enjoy a special level of camaraderie. And let us not forget plenty of off time to explore your new playground, the most beautiful set of islands in the world. The ability to be free and play. And that reminds me, I remember being at one celebration, as an observer only, and things got pretty low, as I remember. It got pretty crazy as the night. I see a few people who are there. Yeah, it got. I think we better move on from that point. Yeah. No names. Yeah. Let's see. Now, unfortunately for me, I was never based in Honolulu. I was based at LAX. But my observations of the Honolulu cruise consisted mostly of my many hours in flight with them, especially after Mexico City. Every time I could jump ship from LAX, which was very often, I had one destination in mind, and that was my sanctuary of the island of Kauai. I would fly here to Honolulu, then shoot over to the other side of the airport to Princeville Airways, where Southwest is today. You just walk up to the counter, show your Western Airlines ID, and you got a standby seat for $10. And they even allowed family members and parents. They flew a Twin Otter right into Princeville Airport in the North Shore, not far from the start of the Kalalau Trail. The good old days when $10 to fly to a neighbor island. Some of you might remember there were many times I would be accompanied by my young son, Chris, who was 3, 4, 5 at the time. Well, he's here today. He's a longtime resident of Honolulu. He is currently the regional director of the Hawaiian Islands for GNC Corporation. So you can get all of your vitamin and supplement needs at any one of the 37 stores. Don't forget the 20 bucks you promised me, Chris. You know, I feel so honored to be the speaker of these festivities this evening. But for us to truly understand and get a feel of that magical time in your lives when you were based here, we need your words, the associates that lived it. So I asked a few of your fellow crew members, our fellow crew members, what made the Honolulu base so special? And here's just a few of the comments. One person stated, "We all became best friends, family, Ohana. We leaned on one another, supported each other, partied together, played softball, ran marathons, cheered each other on no matter what. There were times we hung out at Ala Moana Beach Park. There were other times we'd watch the boys paddle canoe race on the North Shore. These things brought us closer together. Weddings, babies, birthdays. We were Ohana, and still are. What a joy it was to watch the passengers on our flights. They were all happy because they were on vacation, coming to this beautiful place I called home. When we were coming in for landing, how could one not smile?" Another added, "The base was special because of the people. It was most likely the happiness. How only time in our flying career." Another added, "Sharing the live aloha with each other. It didn't matter what crew you flew with. It was always an enjoyable working trip. The weather, ocean, and food were never a disappointment. The camaraderie was chicken skin. Lots of get-togethers, potlucks at someone's house, beaches, and even clubs. Long-lasting friendships that remain." And still another added, "I was in LA when the company announced it was opening a base in Honolulu. Paid move, generous cost of living allowance, and the ability to live in Hawaii. This was truly a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. I couldn't pass it up. This was the start of 7 of the best years of my life with some of the finest people I know. I can't imagine my life without Western, and certainly without the time together, living, working, and loving in Honolulu." You know, the associates that arrived in paradise were wide-eyed with excitement. You opened your hearts to the nurturing of the land, sea, and sky. You joyfully embraced the rich culture and heritage of a priceless people and intertwined it with your own ideologies and traditions. And you evolved, became greater, stronger, and blessed with the ability to truly love as one Ohana. While in the English translation, Ohana is still family, we have transitioned the word to be used in a looser context to include extended family and close friends. Ohana truly does mean no one gets left behind. And this is reflected this evening as you graciously unite with the families of loved ones of those crew members and associates who are no longer with us. My dearest friends, those of you who had the good fortune to be based here in Honolulu during the golden age of flying were given a moment of time in the universe that bordered perfection. Any flight crew's dream. You know, guys, we worked for one hell of a good company. Unfortunately, after the chaos that occurred in Mexico City, this created a paradox for me, because even after all the ugliness, I was never going to turn on my airline. I was going to go Lolo on them, that was for sure, but I wasn't going to turn on them. Like all of you, I carry the memory of Western Airlines in my heart, And on my hand, I've got my flight wings. And you can't say Western Airlines without mentioning one specific name, Larry Lee. There wouldn't have been a Honolulu base if it wasn't for Larry. I can imagine him out here sitting with us, smiling, making sure he spoke to everyone, shaking their hands,
Knowing everybody's name.
sharing with us like a proud parent, even turning a blind eye to some of his Honolulu crew's naughty exploits. You know, we lost Larry recently, but I believe that I'll see him again. We'll all see him again. And on that day, Tom Blackmore will be the last man left on earth. You know, I love the saying, collect memories, not stuff. And the Western Airlines Honolulu base created some dandies. Those memories are more precious than any jewel, and they continually bring you happiness and comfort. You carry this joy every day. So in reality, you will always be based in Honolulu. Savor that gift. Relish it. Embrace it. Taste it. It is incorporated in your very being. Draw strength from it. Be ever grateful that for a moment of time, you were part of something truly wonderful. Tonight we honor you, the Western Airlines Honolulu base associates. I am so privileged to be in your company, and I tip my hat to you. And remember, you heard all of this from one big Lolo boy.
Hello there. Yes, my name is Donovan Aku Akus. Aku would be the middle name, AKU, as an abbreviation from my last name. I was based here in when they opened the base for the pilots in 1977. That's when we got over here. And I was fortunate enough to be able to stay here and never leave because we've maintained this home here in Hawaii. I'd like to tell you a little about this shirt. Back in 1976 at Western Airlines, that was the anniversary, 50th anniversary of Western, and Western provided for us, and I don't know if they gave it to us or actually we bought the Wren Spooner shirts, and I wore mine out. That was my first Wren I ever had. However, just a month ago, my lovely wife Kathleen was able to find on the internet one of these shirts that hardly has been used, and I was very honored that she gave it to me and I could wear it to our Ohana 2020 here. So this brings back a lot of good memories. Thanks.
Following dinner, everyone gathered on the deck to offer a toast to the family, the Ohana, and all of the memories that were gathered some 30 years ago. And of course, there were more stories.
doing good. How about yourself?
I'm great, thanks.
You're looking great.
Thank you. Thanks for bringing my shirt.
She's got it here someplace.
Cheers! Thanks for bringing your shirt. I'm looking at him.
She made it for me.
I should make them for everybody.
Yesteryears, 1978 to 1983. That's when young men and women worked and played on the island in the middle of the Pacific called Honolulu. Things were a lot different back then. Waikiki looked like this, and the international marketplace looked like this. Remember Western Airlines DC-10 spaceship? And who could forget those colorful uniforms? Honolulu was a playground for hundreds of Western Airlines employees back then. And now it was time to explore and rekindle some of those memories. Let's meet some of those explorers.
Trees of Greenland, red roses too. I watched them bloom for me and you, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Well, I see skies of blue and I see clouds of white and the brightness of day. I like the dark and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. The colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky, are also on the faces of people passing by. See friends shaking hands, singing, how do you do? They really say, I love you.
Some 35 years have passed, and the memories are still there. The Ohana 2020 has brought those memories into full focus. The pace has slowed over the years, and time has taken its toll, but their spirit lives on. It hasn't dimmed. And if you ask to a person, they will tell you that those years they spent on the island were some of the best. They have no regrets.
Oh, the good times that we had. We were young and it was fine to feel your spirit as it climbs, there are no regrets, only good times. We were friends in younger days.
They came together for the first time in over 30 years in 2015.
You were my friend, you never turned away.
And again in 2017.
Say what life will do. Life is kind to just a few. There are no regrets, only good times. Ooh, in time we will grow, we will change, as free as the wind and the waves. Live your life the way you choose. Find the ones who laugh with you, like the sea will find its way to shore.
The Ohana reunion has been the dream of Kathy Warner for a number of years. Her plans all came together in February. The Ohana 2020. Now the years continue to move on, but the memories, well, they'll always remain. Thanks to Kathy.